cicadas in there. Great game. 50 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hold in, Devontae.
Sure. And before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
He's just picking the big guys. Jordan Mailata, he's huge. He'll be good later on. Josh Sweat, he's tall as hell and strong. Let's get him. We'll figure him out. It's working.
And a very good morning to everybody today. Trending in the AM, we are live here on DSM Media, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Smash those like buttons, smash those share buttons, and make sure you head over to the YouTube page and hit subscribe as the road to 500 continues over there. We're at 439. Maybe by the end of the week, we can hit 450, 460. We'll keep climbing there. It's also the easiest way to get involved with the show. Today is Overreaction Monday, our favorite day of the week on Trending in the AM, where we can overreact as we always do. The best way to get involved in the show is to head over to the YouTube page, put your comments in over there, put them up on the screen, your overreactions for the day. My overreaction is to relax, Eagles fans. That's the best way to get involved with the show. All shows on DSM Media are brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT, and below the waist maintenance. Check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code TRENDING at checkout. It gets you 20% off and free shipping, plus lets them know I sent you from the show. Joined by my two main men here. Every Monday morning they're here when work allows. We got down below. We got off of health and safety protocols. We got Jason Vorhees. And we got to my side here, we got Marc Moscatelli. Gentlemen, first off, Jason, how you feeling this morning? You ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to be back.
The show wasn't the same all week without you.
It wasn't the same for me not being able to do shows. I mean, I don't have as many shows as yourself. I think you're the king in that category, but you know me, I do quite a few of my own, and it sucks. Just kind of being obviously not able to do what you love. It's one thing to not have to work. I mean, listen, yeah. I wasn't complaining about that, but I'm happy to be back. I mean, I'm feeling obviously much better than I was.
Good, that's good. And Marc, how's the weather out in Jersey there? Because I know down here in Southern Chester County, I can still see my grass outside my office window here.
It's wet, bitter, and icy.
Yeah.
Last night was like a little bit of a storm, but nothing that we can't manage, thank God. So I'd be really beyond shoveling snow. I'm done with that. Hopefully, my son can do that the next blizzard that we have, because I'm totally over that.
Yeah, we have.
I got kids, but
you have kids to make them do the physical labor, the shoveling, the landscaping. That's the only reason you have kids in life, right?
Correct. But if you talk to my wife, she would say differently. But whatever.
All right, gentlemen, we got here. We started 10 minutes early to get an extra 10 minutes of talk time on Overreaction Monday. Last night, I did a pop-up trending for 4 quarters late last night to try to talk everybody off the ledge. And you guys know me, I'm Mr. Overreaction. I love to overreact on Overreaction Monday, but I'm going to be the voice of reason today, and I'm going to start my Overreaction Monday. And I know, Marc, you're going to disagree with me really, really quickly on this one. My Overreaction Monday statement of the day is that Eagles fans are overreacting to the loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and to Jalen Hurts and to Nick Sirianni and to Jonathan Gannon and to on and on and on. So, Marc, get started here. How do you feel about my overreaction that you and everybody else are overreacting?
Excuse me. In the grand scheme of things, when I look back, you're going to look back and say, you know what, that really wasn't a bad season. But I had posted on my Facebook, it's unacceptable. I don't care how bad of a team you are or the 7th seed. It is unacceptable to be blown out in the playoffs and be losing 31-0 halfway through the third quarter. That was unacceptable. And I got some thoughts about how the game plan went on that game. I think going forward we should be okay if they just stay the course on where I think they should go. But they came out scared during the game with their play calling in the very beginning. If you recall, Hertz ran those RPOs, and he was allowing the clock to go down to 2 and 1 seconds before they hiked the ball every play. Now, I get it. You do want to keep the Tampa Bay offense off the field, but they were so damn conservative and they were so apprehensive on each play that they ran. It really kind of put them in a hole. And obviously, Gannon, again, let up 2 quick drives for touchdowns that gave them a hole that they couldn't dig out of. So, yeah, I was pretty pissed that they went into that game.
So you say it's an embarrassment, okay? Come out and get beat like that. Are they saying that in New England? I mean, New England got smoked by Buffalo. That's an embarrassment, but no one's talking about it there. Kansas City smoked Pittsburgh. That's an embarrassment, but no one's talking about that. That's what I'm trying to say. People need to realize the situation. Like in Pittsburgh, they're not talking about it as getting smoked. They're talking about it. What was the end of 1 hour? Ushering in a new. In New England, hey, our quarterback just started his first playoff game. Let's give him time. But for some reason in Philly, it's a different set of circumstances. Jason?
Yeah, I mean, you just nailed it. Like in Philly, it is different because we live in the now. We want instant gratification. That's been this town's mentality since day one in sports. I mean, we want wins now. It's easy to have the mentality that, yes, this team did improve. It did. I mean, leaps and bounds. I mean, at least not this guy right here. I didn't expect this team to make the playoffs, and they did. But the problem is once you get there and once you get to the dance, it's a different story. And for me, I was one of those guys saying, I think the Eagles are going to win the game. I mean, I didn't think that they were going to come out and blow out Tom Brady. No, obviously. I thought it was going to be a close game to the end. And I thought the Eagles were going to be able to eke it out because of the fact that they had the running game. I mean, obviously, number one rushing offense in the NFL this year. Because of the fact that I saw Nick Sirianni have an ability to, adapt on the fly and make adjustments. Because down the stretch, I saw an ability of Jim Schwartz. I mean, I'm sorry.
Did you do that purposely?
Yeah. Gannon to, I'm not necessarily saying, improve in totality, but I saw an improvement in the defense. I saw, an ability of this team to, cause some turnovers. So what were the 3 keys that we said coming into this game for the Eagles to win? Well, the first key was win the turnover battle. That was a loss. We said control the clock. Well, they got their ass blown out on the time of possession. Again. And we said keep Tom Brady off the field, which I get. We live in a world of analytics, and I understand that 90% of the teams in today's game, when they win the toss, they defer. But giving Tampa the ball and then having them come out 7-0, once again, it just proves that is a BS mentality. When you play Tom Brady,
I said that at the very start of the game.
Analytics go out the window. You should have taken the ball. You're down 7-0. They already had the ball for 5 minutes. You come out in that first drive, and everyone wants to say, "Oh, Hurts played like shit in the beginning of the game." He did. He was god awful. He was
the whole
awful.
game.
Okay, but they only ran the ball 2 times. One being himself on an RPO. So you went 3 and out on your first drive. You went 5 and out on five. You only got 1 first down on your second drive. And on the third drive, you're down 14-0 already, and you're not able to run. So already your game plan was out the window because you let Tom Brady go down the field and put up 7 points. That's why
I said that right from the get-go.
Game ball and score.
Yeah, I said it right at the get-go. I would not have deferred. I would have taken the ball. Who knows if it would have helped or not. But Mark, anything to say about what Jason just said there?
I think you play into Brady's hands if that's your decision. Hey, I'm going to get the ball first because I'm afraid to have Brady have the ball first. I don't know if I agree with that. If you look towards the end of the first half and into the second, they had a chance to really get in the game, and had they scored that touchdown instead of throwing that interception, and taking the ball at the second half and going down and making the adjustments and scoring. Now you got a 17-14 game. I was never a fan of deferring until I realized why teams do it, and I'm okay with that. But I think you play into the hands of Brady by showing fear on that, and I think they did with like some of the play calling. They were very apprehensive in most of the game. They were, especially those first couple of drives, and Tampa Bay played in the box for most of the game. So they were going to force Hurts to throw. The problem was he was throwing those screen passes and those outs that were mimicking runs, and he was afraid to get that ball downfield. Like what was that one play with Devontae Smith was just wide open. If he had just hurled it out there, you had a big long touchdown, and maybe you kind of made the Tampa Bay defense a little more honest. Hurts did not have a good game, but I think Sirianni's play calling led him to not have a good game, and that's a damn shame because I think they had a chance to take a big step yesterday.
We forget that, yes, Nick Sirianni or Jalen Hurts, it was his first playoff game, and yes, he had a bad game. There were 29 players on the Eagles playing in their first playoff game. There also was a head coach coaching and calling plays for the first time in a playoff game. And they went up against the GOAT, Tom Brady, the defending champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, we're overreacting to so many different things that happened in the game. Let's just be honest. Can't we just not overreact and just say the better team? Tampa Bay is not just the better team yesterday. They are one of the best teams in football. There has to be some argument made that it wasn't just Jalen Hurts having a bad game. Maybe the defense just was that much better than what Jalen Hurts could do yesterday. Maybe, the game plan that Tampa Bay had put together in general was just that much more better because they have the experience over there. We don't have the experience in Philly yet. It was a great – I said the Eagles were going to lose. I said 31-24. I said we were going to get blown out and they were going to score some garbage points. So I thought they would score one more garbage touchdown than they did. But, it was a learning experience to the people that think that everything has to change now because of this game and this one loss. I think they're overreacting too much because, to be honest, there was a learning experience for a lot, not just Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, a lot of people yesterday. A lot of learning was done yesterday.
Well, this is why it's frustrating to me. Because when it comes to Jalen Hurts, and unfortunately, once again, this is a Philly thing. Yeah. It's always black or white. There's never a middle ground. Mm-hmm. So you either have the segment of fans who are called, and once again, both of these terms are, to me, insults because it's not really the truth, but it's basically the terminology that's used. But you basically have either the people that are called Hurts apologists, who people bash them and say, well, you're a Hurts apologist. All you do is make excuses for that guy. He's not good. Or you have the other segment of the fan base that is basically Hurts haters, which doesn't mean they hate the person meaning you hate a person. You can't, you hate that guy. But Hurts haters are the people that can't see any good in Hurts, and their mind is already made up that we need a new quarterback. And that's the number one problem on this team. And that's the problem that I see. There's no middle ground. There's no ability to say, okay, Jalen Hurts isn't Pat Mahomes, nor will he ever be. Jalen Hurts isn't Joe Burrow. We know that. He has deficiencies. How many Joe Burrows are there? I hate to keep pounding on it, but how many are there? There's one. There's not like the league is full of these elite quarterbacks. If it was, the league would be different. For the most part, you have Aaron Rodgers, you have Tom Brady, and then you have the few young phenoms that are out there, and then basically you have your middle core, and then the rest of the quarterbacks. So to me, there has to be a middle ground. Why does it always have to be Hurts apologists or Hurts haters? Why can't there be a middle ground and say, well, here's a 23-year-old kid with some raw talent who is only in his second season. Can we at least give the guy a little bit of time? I get it if you're ready to say, you're not ready to say and anoint him as the franchise quarterback. Because you know what? I don't see him being a franchise. At this point, I don't. Can he be? Can he learn? Can he grow? Absolutely. And Phil, I watched your show last night, and you nailed it. I mean, the things that Hurts struggles with, a lot of it is teachable. I'm sick of hearing that he does not have arm strength. It is the most overrated statement. Talk about overrated. That's an overrated statement. Okay, does the guy have Justin Herbert's arm strength? No. Do you need Justin Herbert arm strength to win a Super Bowl? Did Justin Herbert make the playoffs? Absolutely not. So shut the frig up. I'm tired of it.
All right, mute.
No, because I'm going
to mute you
because nobody will.
You're going to blow it up.
Hurts. There's no middle ground.
Hold on.
Hurts cannot get the job done.
Yeah, I want to get Marc in because I know Marc's on the side that we got to move on from Jalen Hurts. So, Marc, I want you to have your piece here on this one.
I don't know if I'm saying we need to move on just yet. Here's the thing with the team. If the team was a playoff caliber team and had some superstars, had some veterans, then maybe you do use your draft capital and get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson as the last piece. But they have so many holes everywhere else. Ride this guy out and continue to develop him for at least another season and use that draft capital to improve around him, improve his defense so they don't let up 2 straight touchdowns in the first 2 drives in the playoff games where a novice quarterback has to dig out of that deep, deep hole. But, that's what I'm looking at. If the quarterback was the last piece of the puzzle, then, yes, those 3 draft picks, go get Aaron Rodgers and let's make him run next year. But whether they have Rodgers next year or Russell Wilson, they ain't going to the Super Bowl and they ain't going to win the Super Bowl. That is a pipe dream. So I don't want them to use that capital. And there's nobody in that draft that is really knocking my socks off where, hey, we need this next guy. Back in the day, I don't want to sound like those old guys in the corner saying back in my day, but back in my day, it took 3 or 4 years to really develop a quarterback. A guy like Steve Young sat on the bench for 5 years before he got his real chance to play. Now, everything is immediate now in the NFL, and everybody's looking for the next Pat Mahomes that you can plug right in. I think you can do some things with Hurts. I'm asking for 1 more year. Hopefully they see it the same way.
Yeah. I mean, let's see it. To go on Jason's point, there's only so many Patrick Mahomes, et cetera, in this league. First off, I put the tweet out yesterday. I got a lot of bashing because people misinterpret it. I said, Justin Herbert has not made the playoffs in 2 years. You don't see L.A. giving up on him. Different quarterback, but situationally, same thing. Mac Jones got blown out in the playoffs. You don't see New England overreacting and saying, we got to move on from Mac Jones. Josh Allen's first 2 years in the NFL were straight dog trash. Worse than Jalen Hurts' first year and a half. You didn't see Buffalo move on from Josh Allen. Buffalo is the perfect prime example. What did Buffalo do after his second year of poor performance? They went out and improved the offensive line. They went out and got Stefon Diggs to put on the outside. They went out and improved their defense. They used all their capital that they had, draft and money, and they improved the team. Buffalo might make the Super Bowl this year. They were my preseason pick. I had Buffalo Green Bay. It still may play out that way. You got to be patient. I'm looking at it right now. I did it last night. I went and I checked. I went every team. How many quarterback situations in the NFL are better than the Eagles with Jalen Hurts? And I'm going to tell you, I got the Eagles as the 12th best quarterback situation in the NFL. There's only 11 teams I would take the situation over the Eagles. And Jason, I got Green Bay, obviously. Tampa Bay, obviously. I would take Dallas and Dak Prescott. I would take the Rams and the Cardinals situation over Jalen Hurts. And that's only borderline. They'd be like 10 and 11 on my list, okay? I would take Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Miami, Chargers, and Baltimore. That's 11 teams that I would take, and that's it. Am I wrong to think that the situation, being the 12th situation league, that's not bad?
No, you're absolutely not wrong. And I mean, you and I are in a total
I mean, would you take? I mean, real quick, would you take Ryan Tannehill in the Tennessee Titans situation over Jalen Hurts? I mean, that's the only one that I could be borderline on. But I mean, people got to realize that it's not all doom and gloom.
But that's the problem, Phil. Because when you have a take like you and I, then we get told that we're making excuses and we're Hurts apologists, or we love.
I want to make sure people realize I'm not making excuses. Jalen Hurts played bad yesterday.
No, I know, and that's what's frustrating about it, though. As soon as you take the position where you don't want to bash somebody and like kick them when they're down, you're called like, yo, you're a lover, you're a stan. Like, listen, there's a difference. There are people out there that Hurts can do no wrong, and he's never makes mistakes. There are those people. That's not you and I.
Right.
I've come a long way because I was kind of probably that guy. But I'm more so at the point, if you really want my opinion, I'm really all this close to saying we really need to move on. But I'm also a realist, and I'm able to distinguish the fact that the Eagles' skill position is barren.
Yeah.
You have Devonta Smith, and that's it, and Goddard.
And Goddard's still got work to do, too. I mean, Goddard had a big drop early in the game. That's all to drive.
That is my point. Like, and if you look at all these teams, and I brought it up to you yesterday, isn't it just, like, aren't you a little jealous? Like, when you watch Pat Mahomes throw 5 touchdowns, but not only is it Pat Mahomes, he has Tyreek Hill. He has an abundance of weapons. Last night, it was Jerick McKinnon. Like, there's always somebody.
People forget Jerick McKinnon a few years ago was like being drafted in 3rd rounds of fantasy football.
No, I don't forget because I had him.
Yeah, the kid was talented before he tore out his ACL. So real quick, Mark, before you had some technical difficulties there, I said the Eagles quarterback situation is the 12th best quarterback situation in the league. And the point is it's debatable whether it's 12th, 13th, 14th, whatever. But I want to give you those teams. And it's just to prove that there's only so many quarterback situations in the NFL that are perfect or that are Brady, Mahomes level. So I ranked the 5 teams in the NFC ahead of the Eagles: the Green Bay, the Tampas, the Dallas, the Rams, the Cardinals. Their situations are better. And the Rams and Cardinals are borderline because Kyler Murray has still got a lot to prove. And Matthew Stafford, while a great quarterback, Matthew Stafford, people forget, he's only made the playoffs 3 times. What's he played in the league? 12 years? He's made 3 playoff appearances. He's 0-3. Matthew Stafford, while a good quarterback, is not a great quarterback because he can't win the big games. So that's 5 of the teams. Then I've got Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati. I actually got Miami ahead of them, the Chargers, and the Ravens. Okay? That's 11 teams. You might make an argument for Tennessee being a better situation, in my opinion. But that's like borderline right around that 12-13 range again for me. That goes to show there's not that many elite situations in the league.
The only one I would disagree with you is Miami because I'm not sold on Tua. But that's about right. And he's about probably middle of the pack type quarterback. And I don't think he got a lot of respect at the very beginning of the season. This guy played for 2 college teams that were powerhouses. And he has, if you see him with interviews, I believe in intangibles, a lot of intangibles, things that Carson Wentz did not have, even though he had the talent. He can command a room. He can be a leader that is desperate for that position. I mean, you can have all the talent in the world. If you're a jackass, a quarterback, but like you'll never go far. You need those leadership qualities. He has that, and to what Jason said before, that he can be taught to do certain things. The arm strength isn't everything. It is very important, but I think in this NFL, accuracy is much more important than arm strength, and if you can teach him how to read a defense and go through progressions, then you might have a superstar quarterback on your hands, and a true leader. Again,
the intangibles, I talked about it last night. The intangibles are obviously jumping off the charts. The people that say get rid of him right now, go. I had people coming at me saying, "Go get Jimmy Garoppolo. You have a better chance to win with Jimmy Garoppolo than Jalen Hurts." And I laughed at that. The people that want to give up on Jalen Hurts because of yesterday and because of his first full season in the NFL aren't thinking of the fact that Jalen Hurts said it in his post-game press conference. Season 3 starts today. Okay, if you don't think that Jalen Hurts is going to work his ass off every single day this offseason to get better, to improve his weaknesses, which are his reading progressions, I like to call it his read and react isn't quick enough. Let me tell you something. You got something else, you got something wrong with you if you don't think he is going to work his ass off to get better at those things. And we've seen plenty of great, I'll use Matthew Stafford, great throwers, natural talented quarterbacks not win in the NFL. And we've seen plenty of quarterbacks with the intangibles, but not quite as good a quarterback, win. So what do you want? Do you want the guy that your team will run through a brick wall for, that that you're never out of a game with him there because he's going to try his best to will you to victory? Or do you want the guy that has been there and failed miserably over and over again just because he doesn't have that elite, I don't want to call it drive or intangible aspect to his game? Look, I want to make sure everybody is 100% clear. Jalen Hurts is the quarterback next year, not by default, but because he's earned it. And I'm gonna die on that hill. I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, dude. We obviously there's a lot more involved in this than just Jalen Hurts, because obviously the team as a whole played like shit.
Absolutely.
But I get it. I get it that it's a quarterback-driven league, and it's always the blame goes quarterback, coach, one or the other combination, and then the rest of the team. So I get that. Right. But let's face it, when you look at this Eagles team, because like I was saying before Marc kind of went out last time, the embarrassment of riches that these young quarterbacks have as far as elite talent around them can only help a quarterback. If a guy like Jalen Hurts was put on a team like the Bengals, do you think he would be able to get where he needs to be more quickly than where he is with the Eagles? I think so. I mean, I think it's hard to look at that Eagles wide receiver room right now and say that they have anything even average, because to me, I think there's 31 teams that have better receivers than the Eagles overall as a room. And Probably. That's it. That is absolutely embarrassing. Like, especially when you drafted Jay Joel in the second round and then Rager in the first round. Whether he was a first rounder or not, you still drafted him there. So to me, that's where you're really behind. Mm-hmm. You need to look at this offseason as if you're going to move forward and say we're going to give Hurts another year, then you best damn better get him some weapons.
Right.
And when I say weapons, I mean, I'm talking wide receivers, multiple, not just one. You need multiple wide receivers, and you need playmakers.
Right.
And you got to figure out what you're going to do with the running game, because I don't know, is Miles Sanders going to be on? I don't know. Could he have played his last game? That's another question.
Yeah, I mean, so before we get into the weapons and the things we need, I want to address one more thing with Jalen Hurts, and then we can move on to some of the other topics and overreactions that I got, because I do have others I want to bring up with you. With Jalen Hurts, I don't know if it's a fair comparison. You're a baseball guy, just like I am, okay? When you have a really bad offensive hitting team and your ace is on the hill, sometimes they press a little bit, okay? They try to nibble the corners a little too much, right? You know what I'm getting at there? With a pitcher trying to press a bit.
Exactly.
Or trying to shape their pitch and just hit a spot instead of just throwing the ball. When your defense puts you behind every single game, 10, 14, 17 points, maybe some of the bad plays from Jalen Hurts, maybe he's like, because yesterday he seemed to overthrow a lot of guys yesterday.
yesterday. There's no doubt about it. He was high and long on a whole bunch of passes, down the field. He might have been pressing a bit. He might have been pushing a little bit. He might have been trying too hard because he was put into a situation that was almost insurmountable. When you're going up against Tom Brady, the defending champions, the guy that's won 400 Super Bowls, in his career, you got a lot of pressure on you. And we talk about his intangibles. He never gave up. He gave it his best shot, but maybe he was pressing just a little bit there.
No, I think you make a valid point. And, I know Marc disagreed with me, but I'm going to die on my hill that I said that I thought that the Eagles made a mistake by not taking the ball. Because
I agree.
To me, and I watched yesterday, by the way, kudos to Scotty Talks and Dylan for their Turf Talk show. Absolutely amazing. I watched yesterday's show, and they had a bunch of random guests, like it was friends of Scotty and Dylan kind of came on the show.
Right.
And they had this one guy, I forget his name, but he blew me away, like his takes. And he basically brought up the fact that the Eagles needed to use the Cobra Kai style of karate as opposed to the Miyagi-Do.
Right.
When it comes to playing Tom Brady, you have to strike first and no mercy,
right,
and be aggressive. And that's absolutely exactly the opposite of what the Eagles did by letting Brady go down the field and score. And that's why that's my belief that you need to put your foot on the gas and not let off. And that's the problem. Like, I agree. I think he did press. I think he wanted to try to become Superman, even though he's not.
Right.
And unfortunately, when you're the quarterback in Philly, that happens a lot. I mean, I've seen it with Randall.
So Marc, I want to give you, because while you're trying to fix your difficulties,
I'll tell you. I'm sorry, man.
I mean, once you hit that 50-year-old age, man, you just don't know how to work computers anymore, do you?
Well, last night my internet went out for the entire Kansas City game, and I had no internet and cable. It was a hot mess. So I don't know if that's part of the issue that I'm.
So what I was trying to talk about there on the last Jalen Hurts topic for now was that he's kind of like an ace pitcher that knows his offense can't score one run against the opposing team. So he starts to press a little bit. And it's like that domino effect. You start pressing. You start overthrowing balls because you got to be too perfect. Because, let's be honest, he can't throw a ball into the right region for Jalen Reagor or Arcega-Whiteside or, Quez Watkins. He's got to put literally perfect – even for Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert dropped a perfect pass. So now he starts to think in his head. The domino effect starts to fall. And he's like, well, now it's got to be even a more perfect pass. And then the next pass has to be even more perfect. And the dominoes start falling. And I think there's some theory that, because Jason was bringing up the weapons and the lack of weapons on this team. Jalen Hurts is kind of like a pitcher that's pressing or trying too hard to hit like certain spots versus just going out there, letting loose and throwing, because his offense around him is just so weak that he's got to be too perfect.
Would you rather him press, or would you rather him call out his coaches and teammates? Maybe he does that in private. I don't know. He doesn't have much to work with.
Exactly.
And he has to lean on his coaches to call a game that is going to be beneficial for his skill set and the talent that he has on the field. But even that yesterday, like, I could see why he was pressing, because nothing was really working. And he was tucking that ball in and he was running probably a little too soon on some plays. And that's all about, again, going back to what Jason said, teaching him, stay in the pocket, look at your progressions, look at the open guy. Don't look down a receiver the entire, like those are all things that he needs to do better at the pro level that probably came really easy for him at the college level, especially at the programs that he was at. So
can we all agree the arm strength conversation? I'm sure you all saw that throw he made to Devontae Smith on the 2-point conversion. You can't make that throw if you don't have arm strength. He was running to his left. He stopped. He pivoted. He threw backwards across his body and put a dime. Now, if he throws that ball and anybody but Devontae Smith is there, they don't make that catch. But that throw proves that there is arm strength if he times things right. And everybody talks about, well, then what about the interception at the end of the first half? That wasn't a bad throw. That was a great throw. I mean, again, rolling to his left, throwing against his body. That was more him not reading the defense properly and not seeing the safety over the top that was able to cut in front of the ball.
He was
the
probably
arm strength thing on those two throws proved that he has the arm strength. He just doesn't have the other parts of it to match up with it.
That interception, he was like a half a second too late in throwing that ball. Otherwise, it was going to be a touchdown. And that was a hell of a play by that safety to make that interception. And from an arm strength perspective, have you ever played football with somebody that played college football as a quarterback? I have. And he was a failed college football player who was a quarterback, Division I. And my God, I mean, he can throw that ball through a wall. It's about accuracy though, and I'm sure his strength is there, but you need to be accurate more so than arm strength. One of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Montana, did not have a strong arm.
Nope.
But he had a quick release and he was able to read progressions. Tom Brady, I don't think, has a huge arm either, but like his experience and his just how he reads the field is really what gets him where he needs to be. Getting back to that 2-point conversion catch, that was the best catch that I've seen all year. That was amazing.
Look, I want to bring up that you say about Joe Montana, and I'm not comparing, just so everybody knows, I'm not comparing him to Joe Montana. But Joe Montana had a great work ethic in the offseason. And my brother, for some reason, he's a total violation. For some reason, he grew up in an Eagles household, and he was a 49ers fan. And he's loving that the 49ers won yesterday. I'm loving that the 49ers won yesterday. But I remember because we used to have to follow and watch a lot of 49ers stuff growing up in my house because of him. And in the offseason, I don't know if you guys ever heard this, but Joe Montana and Jerry Rice would work together in the offseason every day. And they would just run crossing routes. And he didn't even want Jerry Rice to catch the ball every time. But his goal was to hit the top of the 8, the circle in the 8, the hole in the middle of the top. And if every pass did not hit him right in that spot, they would do it again. And then he would have to hit 10 times in a row, that little tiny circle in the top of an 8, every single pass. And they would do it till he does it 10 times in a row. And that was the kind of work that Joe Montana went into the offseason with. And I see Jalen Hurts' intangibles that he's going to put that same kind of effort in this offseason. Now, it's got to be accuracy, timing, as my man is saying here. It's got to be on him reading the defense and reacting quicker. But, man, you can win without arm strength as long as you have the intangibles and the work ethic. And that's going to be the end of my Jalen Hurts talk. If you guys want to say anything else about him.
I mean, you brought up Josh Allen earlier. I mean, Josh Allen couldn't hit a barn his first 2 years.
Oh.
And, look at Josh Allen now. So, and I get it. Josh Allen has an elite arm strength.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts does not have the same arm strength as Josh Allen. So I am not comparing him. I hate that. Anytime somebody brings up a comparison, it's always like, well, you're saying he's Josh. No.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen is a perfect example of a quarterback that was criticized in his town, criticized by the national media, saying that he was a waste and he was not going to go anywhere. And look at the guy. And it's all
his rookie year, he had a 52% completion percentage. His second year, 58.
It's all work ethic, and it's all shows that you can fix things if you put in the time. The problem is nobody wants to be patient. Like I said, we're in an instant gratification town. We want results now. So in this town, their mentality is Jalen Hurts isn't the answer. Why are we going to bother? Why not just move on from Hurts and go for a new quarterback? That's the problem. But if you do that, you're going to be doing what 90% of the league is doing every year. Everyone is looking for the next quarterback. Mm-hmm. You have to sometimes say, we're going to be patient, draw a line in the sand, and say, let's work on the team around him. Because let's face it, we all agree this Eagles team has more holes then just
well, here's a good thing. I know you had to say something, Mark, there, but something just popped in my head. I saw someone posting on Twitter the other day, or earlier today, or last night. I don't know. All my days jumbled together. About you have somebody in Jalen Hurts that the team respects, the team is behind, that the team has faith in. If he gets better and he puts the effort in. If we move on, you just said it, Jason. The next one might be even worse. I mean, if we drafted somebody or traded, who knows? You go get Jimmy Garoppolo, it might be worse. You could. The comparison is: do you want to just continue to try to build around Jalen Hurts, kind of like Buffalo did Josh Allen, continue to develop around, or you could be in Washington's situation where they have actually been bouncing quarterback to quarterback to quarterback now every single year. And what are they? They can't get any stability at that quarterback position. So now they're constantly in a state of flux because they can't keep any stability there at quarterback. I'd rather the Eagles stick it out with Jalen Hurts, build around Jalen Hurts, and see what he's got, than next year going to drafting Kenny Pickett and go and get Jimmy Garoppolo. That doesn't work out. So the next year they got to draft somebody else. Then the next year they got to draft somebody else and try to sign someone else. It'll just continue to be a revolving door until you get it right. Give the guy you have some time.
You don't want to be that franchise because every time you do that, you're setting your franchise back another 2 to 3 years. Every time you go for the sexy pick of the week, you have to settle in and have faith on your coaching staff, having faith on your scouts that they picked the right guy and develop the guy. And sometimes it's not going to take 8 games to do. Like those are an anomaly, but everybody is looking for that guy that comes in and plays great right away. I mean, listen, let's go back to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz's first year, he was average at best. And they weren't going to give up on him. I mean, granted, he was the second pick in the draft. And that second season, though, he just blew the doors off the barn. He did really, really, really well. You go back to Nick Foles. When he finally got a chance to play, the guy was lights out. That season where he 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Michael Vick coming out of prison and getting a second chance, especially with Chip Kelly, was on fire. Like you gotta have some faith in your people, from your player to your staff to your scouts. To your front office. And I as much as we come down on Howie, at the end of the day, they run a pretty decent organization. I don't agree with a lot of the picks that he does, but let's be honest, he did bring home a Super Bowl. Now that kind of gives you like a 5-year window of not to, give him carte blanche, but that 5-year window is quickly approaching. So he needs to do more. Our coaches, this is their first season. Let's give them a chance to develop.
That's a great segue because I mean, Casey brings up here, the quarterback coach Brian Johnson. He was brought in because he had a connection to Jalen Hurts. Mm-hmm. But I will die on the hill that I'm putting more onus on making adjustments in the coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball than the defense. If Jonathan Gannon does not get a head coaching job, which it's debatable whether he should or not, I think if we draft and improve the defense, he might turn into be a capable defensive coordinator, actually. Shane Steichen, although he doesn't do much on the team, he's just the offensive guy. He's helping, Nick Sirianni. Shane Steichen needs to go, in my opinion, because you need a veteran voice. I
don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I'm laughing because, Phil, I saw a tweet yesterday that said the same thing. He needs to go. And I was maybe there is some rationale with Phil. It wasn't your tweet, and it wasn't.
They stole. I want to know who's stealing my ideas because I talked about this last week on the show. People are stealing my ideas.
But go ahead.
No, but he needs a veteran voice. He should get a head coaching job this offseason. But if Jim Caldwell is still available after the 7 or 8 coaching openings are filled, I'd be on the phone with Jim Caldwell if I was Howie Roseman. Would you mind coming in here and being that, assistant head coach, that guy that could give him some voice of reason, some assistance in developing? Because Nick Sirianni, just like Jalen Hurts, is sorry, I hear music. Do you guys hear music?
I hear music.
Yeah, that's somebody's phone over here. That's my bad.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
Hold on.
I lost my train of thought there while I was going.
I was like, what is going on? Are we in like a
Yeah, I was like Twilight Zone movie here. No, look. So Jason, you missed it last week because you're out. I said Shane Steichen needs to go, not Jonathan Gannon, because you need that experience. You need that voice. I wanted it as soon as Nick Sirianni was hired. I'm like, you got to go out and get an experienced offensive coordinator. They brought in all these guys that were on their first time in their positions on the team. The offensive coordinator first time, defensive coordinator first time, quarterback coach promoted from the college ranks. You need some experience on this coaching staff. I joked, I think it was like week 14 or 13 or 12. I don't remember what week it was. I'm like, what's Marty Morningweg doing right now? I know it's funny, but you need experience somewhere on this coaching staff. Jeff Stoutland cannot be the only veteran voice on the coaching staff. And I'm going to pump that big time because Nick Sirianni has just as much need to grow as Jalen Hurts does this offseason, and he needs some help with that. He can't do it all on his own.
I mean, I couldn't agree.
What do I have to say, Jason, to make you disagree with me? You always agree with me.
That's not true.
I know it's not. That's actually not true, but lately it has been.
I've become more reasonable.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm talking you all into to be more reasonable people. Yeah,
I've become more reasonable as of late. I mean, you know me, I'm generally Mr. Negative. Like, but even with Howie, I've kind of come a long way. Like, I'm not at the point where I'm like, get rid of Howie. Howie sucks, all that. I mean, listen, we know that Howie's biggest mistakes are kind of what unfortunately overtake the good things he's done, because obviously the Rager and the J-Jaw misses are like criminal. And that's kind of what set this team back, because had those moves panned out or been made differently, and had we had different players, we might be having a different conversation today. The Eagles may have won this game. Like, if the Eagles had a Justin Jefferson, I'm not saying they would have won, but my point is you definitely lack elite talent at the skill positions. I know we're kind of probably going to segue, but if I had my one guy, I'm throwing it out there now. I hope to God the Eagles go out and get Calvin Ridley, because I would love nothing more, and I don't care if it takes a first rounder. If I don't think it will. But if it does, I would do it, because my point is, and that guy nailed it. They got Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and that kind of coincided with Josh Allen's, comeback. So to me, and Calvin Ridley to me makes perfect sense, not only because of the fact that he is an elite talent when he's right as far as his mental health, but he has a connection which is similar. I'm looking at like what Joe Burrow has with Jamar Chase. Well, Jalen Hurts has that with Ridley and with Devonta Smith. The fact that they've worked together in college, and I'm looking.
I think you can get Calvin Ridley for a second-round pick, maybe an early third-round pick. I don't know, but a second-round pick and maybe Andre Dillard, or maybe we could convince him to take Jalen Reagor in that trade for Calvin Ridley. I don't know.
With us dealing with Ben Simmons and his mental anguish, I would want I know it's two different sports, two different organizations. Like, if that's the route that they're going to go, they really need to vet this and make sure that.
And I had a private conversation with somebody that was telling me that they didn't want Calvin Ridley here because of that. If he's got issues already, coming to play in Philadelphia, like, first off, you have to have faith in Howie Roseman and the front office that they're going to vet. They're going to talk to him. They're going to talk to his doctors. They're going to talk to Atlanta. They're going to talk to everybody involved and make sure he's on the right path. Then you also have to look back to how great this organization has handled this type of situation. We've just dealt with it this year with Lane Johnson. We've dealt with it with other players in the past. So this organization takes it very seriously anyway. So if they bring in Calvin Ridley, you got to have faith that they've done their due diligence to make it work. And yes, it's such a simple comparison. Josh Allen getting Stephon Diggs. But I'm going to talk about it all offseason, because that's exactly the trajectory that we would go on if we did that. I mean, and then you go out, you probably still draft a wide receiver in the third pick of the first round or the first pick of the second round that they have. And now all of a sudden, maybe if Howie gets the next wide receiver draft pick right, Now all of a sudden, look at it. Now you got Devontae Smith, you got Calvin Ridley. Now you can move Quez Watkins to the slot where he'd be better suited. Then your new rookie wide receiver as your fourth guy. Guess what? Now Jalen Reagor not on the team. Greg Ward not needed. Arcega-Whiteside, bye-bye. You don't have those issues now.
Did we discuss Jalen Reagor at all? Why I was Sachin in and out?
We have not mentioned his name really at all today.
That man does not want to play football. He does not want to play football. Okay. I believe that. You look in his body language, you look at the excuses, and you look. He's not cut. First of all, I don't think he's cut out for football. He's definitely not cut out for the city of Philadelphia, because we're eating him alive with the pressure that we're putting on, fair or unfair. But he has been given ample amounts of time to perform and do something all season, and he has not done anything whatsoever. And the mistakes that he made yesterday were some of the big causes as to why they lost that game. And you need to
put some of the blame on the coaches and the team for putting him in that position. We've seen all year. We know he is not a punt returner. He is not a punt returner. I know Greg Ward got hurt yesterday, but and I didn't even notice he got hurt till I saw it after. I saw a tweet that he was out for the rest of the game after the game was over. Didn't even know he got hurt.
It's Greg so funny. I was at work.
Could have returned punts. There's so many guys that could have returned punts yesterday.
Yeah, I was at work, and I obviously couldn't see the game, and I kind of looked at Twitter, and all of a sudden I just saw like 100 tweets about F Jalen Reagor, this, blah, blah, blah. And I knew what happened. I was like, he must have muffed a punt or something.
Look, Jalen Reagor should never have been drafted in the first round. So we put him in a disadvantage to begin with, because when you're a first-round pick, you have undue expectations on you as a first-round pick. Then Justin Jefferson gets drafted one pick later, who we all wanted in Philly. So that puts even more undue pressure on Jalen Reagor. Then you got a coaching staff that constantly puts him in a position to fail. Game in, game out, play in, play out. I don't blame Jalen Reagor, but I agree with you, Mark, to an extent on the maybe he doesn't want to play. I talked with, I forget who I was talking with on this show, or maybe I was a guest on somebody else's show about the same thing about Carson Wentz. Maybe he's just not a football junkie, a football lifer. He doesn't have that same passion that the Tom Brady's or the Peyton Mannings that want to play for 30 years, have. Maybe you're onto something there with Jalen Reagor. But go ahead.
Here's my theory. I believe that Howie Roseman has basically told Nick that you must play this guy.
Absolutely.
And Nick has basically said, okay, I'm going to keep playing him. I'm going to listen to what you have to say. Now that the season is over, he's going to give all the film to Howie. Here's what we did. Here's how we set him up for success. Here's how he continues to fail. You need to make a decision now, because he's not coming back on my team.
Then Nick Sirianni's going to get fired if he says that. Look, I'm going to say it right now, and it's going to be an unpopular opinion. I said it last year about JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Jalen Reagor, unless he is traded, unless he's like a throw-in piece on a Calvin Ridley deal, he's not getting traded, because Howie Roseman's not going to trade a first-round pick after 2 seasons for a 7th-round pick. He's just not going to do it. Unless he gets traded as part of a package for Calvin Ridley or some other big-time player, Jalen Reagor will, and you can bookmark this, he will be on this team. It's not even an overreaction in my opinion.
He can't be back.
He will be back.
Not after that performance yesterday. I believed you when we talked about this a couple times, but after yesterday's game, there's no way that they can bring him back.
I will tell you, Howie Roseman has a track record. That's why I say they're going to draft a wide receiver early in the draft. Howie Roseman, you can read a book. There's a book on who Howie Roseman is.
I think they're going to trade Reagor. I think they're going to give him away.
They are going to try. They are going to try to trade Jalen Reagor. But Howie Roseman's got this, Daryl Morey type complex where he's got to get what he thinks the value is of a player, not what the actual value is of a player.
Dude, just get a 6th or 7th round pick and call it.
But he's not going to do that. Howie Roseman will not give up on
a moronic. It's moronic.
Oh, I agree with you. I know
it's your mistake. Admit it.
But he does not admit
the whole
mistakes.
world sees it. The whole world.
Ortega-Whiteside, after his second year, I said was going to be back for his third year. Now that his third year is done, now Howie Roseman's going to move on for Ortega-Whiteside. He gives his early picks 3 years. Unless he gets blown away by a trade offer, he gives his early picks 3 years.
By the way, bye Derek Barnett.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He gave Derek Barnett 1 year too many.
Bye-bye.
Though. I will agree to that.
See
Honestly, talk defense. Is it really? Everybody's talking about blitz Tom Brady. Well, you know what? When Derek Barnett was your best line defensive end in the game, come on now. What are you supposed to do when your best defensive end is Derek Barnett?
That's another problem we haven't talked about a lot. We talked about how coming into this season, everyone bragged how good our defensive line is. Our defensive ends suck, minus Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat is the only one that I would keep.
He was okay this year. And let's prayers out to him. I didn't even see it come across the wire. But, I guess it came out that he was actually in the hospital with whatever illness he had. And he had something serious issue.
Apparently he almost died this week.
Yeah, apparently I've seen that he almost died this week.
And he was a game-time decision to play.
He wanted to play.
So
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't released what it was. But, man, prayers out to him. Hopefully he's okay. But I love that. He wanted to play. He did travel with the team yesterday. He was there.
But my point is other than him, I would move. The defensive end is another major problem, like wide receiver. You need a stud defensive end that could get to the quarterback.
Absolutely.
In this league, you need.
There's a lot of good edge rushers in this draft. I mean, I don't know their names because I don't really follow that stuff too detailed till this point. Now I'll start diving into the draft and all. But guys, I mean, there's so many issues. But Jalen Reagor will be here. That wraps up that part of it. Jalen Reagor will be here unless he's part of a Jalen Reagor or some other major trade.
Unless a Reagor bomb gets dropped.
Yeah, exactly. Something has to majorly happen for Jalen Reagor to not be on this team. But as KC said here, he does need a change of scenery. And he might thrive on another team. Just like I said it a week or two ago. I said, JJ, when he gets to another team next year, because let me tell you something, when we get rid of him, when we cut him, someone will give him a job. He will get a job in the NFL next year. And guess what? I guarantee with the lack of being a second-round pick, a pick right before DK Metcalf, I guarantee he carves out a nice little niche in the NFL as a fifth wide receiver, as a special teams player. I'm just going to use it again.
Matt Collins.
Matt Collins has carved out – once he got away from the pressure put on him in Philly, he has now carved out a regular role with the Miami Dolphins. He had more touchdowns than Jalen Reagor this year. I don't think people realize that. He had more receiving yards than Jalen Reagor this year.
I love Matt Collins. I really do. But again, he had the same problem, drafted way too high.
Absolutely.
He would be.
And how long did he stay here?
He was
a long time.
3 seasons. He was here 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
And he was out for one whole season. He had an abdominal issue. He would be like a 10-year Eagle if he was drafted in the 4th or 5th round, and he would carve out a nice career on special teams. He's a team leader in Miami, and he's a captain on
he's a special teams captain in Miami.
Who was that other wide receiver that we drafted maybe it was a 4th or 5th round? Was it Josh Huff? Remember,
Josh
he was
Huff
like
a 3rd or 4th round. He was terrible.
Another one.
What was Bloom's name way back in the day?
Jeremy Bloom.
Bloom. He was another bust of a guy. These guys, this organization. So you don't even have. I talk about Howie Roseman's track record, but you can even go back to Joe Banner's track record because Joe Banner trained Howie Roseman. This Eagles organization has basically been run the same for about 30 years now, and the track record says 3 years on high draft picks. They give them that time to develop. They do. Nelson Aguilar in his 3rd year all of a sudden became a superstar. We don't win that Super Bowl if we got rid of Nelson Aguilar one season sooner. So I'm not saying Jalen Reagor is going to turn into Nelson Aguilar.
The crazy thing is Nelson Aguilar has a lot more talent than Jalen Reagor.
I agree with you on that.
Ocho
Cinco did say yesterday on Twitter after the game, Mr. Chad Johnson, and if you ever want to come on here, I've shouted you out.
I saw that.
He said that Jalen Reagor is going to be a stud next year. So I'm just telling you, if you take any onus into what Ocho Cinco says, does he go by Ocho Cinco or does he go by Chad Johnson?
No, he goes by Chad Johnson now again.
God, that guy's changed his name more than Meta World Peace did.
He's a good Twitter follow, too.
Yeah, he is. I've shouted him out. I've begged him to come on this show before.
But go back to what you said about how this organization is run for the same way in the past 25, 30 years. They also put system over talent. And especially at the wide receiver position, going back to Andy Reid, that my system will make any wide receiver to be successful.
Yeah, James Crash.
Yeah, please. Get the talent. Get the generational talent when you can, and don't get fancy and say, I'm going to draft Jalen Reagor because I can fit him in my system and he will do better than Justin Jefferson. Get the
let's hope
talent trumps the system. It really does.
We got to think that for Howie Roseman, I mean, he drafted Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson. You know, he may have changed that philosophy a little bit last year. He went with the best players at the positions at that time. He went and, you know, I keep calling. I'll always say it was Ed Kratz from Sports Illustrated. It was thanks to him that we drafted him, because he called out Howie Roseman before the draft. Why have you never drafted an Alabama or LSU player in the first 2 rounds? And he went out and drafted Alabama guys to start the draft. So maybe he's turned a corner. I don't know, but still, the system has been in place for like 30 years. How long?
The system has failed.
Has it failed? We won a Super Bowl. We made it. We made another one.
I don't think it's failed. I think it could have done much better. It's don't be so ignorant to think that your system is better than the talent that you can attract to make your system that much better. And I think that is what I hated about Andy Reid and Joe Banner. And do you guys follow Joe Banner on Twitter at all?
I do. Unfortunately, I do.
He is a pompous, ignorant person, and often tries to take credit. He tried to take credit for the Raiders hiring their coach, Rich Biasuccia, however you pronounce that, because he interviewed him in Cleveland and considered him for a head coaching role before. Like don't get me started on Joe Banner. I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah, they do.
Got Joe Banner angst right there going on.
I'm surprised he hasn't blocked me yet on Twitter. I'll just leave it at that. It's coming though. That day is coming.
Probably doesn't know how to block.
Probably. Oh, I thought you had more Joe Banner talk there.
No, I have no more.
We're moving on from Joe Banner talk.
We could do a whole show on Joe Banner if you would like.
I started this show 10 minutes early, thinking that extra 10 minutes would give us extra time, but we're down to our last 8 minutes of the show already. I can't believe how quickly the first hour went there.
Well, let's talk about how great the Cowboys did last night.
I was just going to say, let's wrap the show up with some of the other games, and then also tonight's final game. So yeah, we could talk Cowboys. You know, again, they got a lot of money tied up in Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, and they didn't look too good. Did not look too good at all. And of course, all the Dallas fans throwing shit and fighting in the parking lots and everything else. But yeah, we're the bad people here in Philly.
What's Dak Prescott's record in postseason?
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's not very good. I'm not sure if it's good or not. Is that good?
0-4.
Is it good?
He's 0-4 in the playoffs.
Is that good?
So, if I'm not mistaken.
But is that good though? The question is that good?
He has one win.
No, I think he beat Seattle that one year, didn't he?
Okay, so maybe he's won. I had to look it up, but
that's more than Sam Bradford has.
You know, listen. Here's my thought on the Cowboys organization. They are an ignorant, arrogant, dysfunctional organization, and as long as the Jones family is involved in the football operations of that franchise, they will never amount to anything. You can get all your high-priced free agents that you want. You can get all your top talent. You can have that billion-dollar Jerry world that you have there. The way that they have run this organization since 1996, which is the last time they were relevant, they will never amount to anything. And I don't worry about the Cowboys anymore. I don't, because they always find ways to lose. And that game was a disgrace last night. If I was a season ticket holder,
he's 1-3.
He's 1-3.
They beat the Seahawks.
Yeah, they should have blown the 49ers out. The 49ers are a so-so team that's kind of backdoor in the playoffs. You're home. You got 100,000 people in that stadium. Dude, they were terrible. They have a top-notch defense, And that 49ers offense it was like a hot knife through butter the first couple drives. And what kept them in the game is Kyle Shanahan couldn't score touchdowns. They were just kicking field goals. And towards the end of the game, what the hell were they doing? There were more flags than there were plays. It was unbelievable. Yeah. They were giving the game to the Cowboys, and they still blew it. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It goes to show San Francisco winning that game. They're probably not going to beat Green Bay next week, but San Francisco winning that game, a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, an okay quarterback with a good system around him, talent around him, a coach that knows how to call plays, they can still get it done. So I think it's a great comparison on the Jalen Hurts and the Nick Sirianni aspect of it, because you got Deebo Samuel, you got Brandon Ayuk, you got George Kittle, you got talent there. You got a great defense with the Bosa, whichever Bosa brother plays there in San Francisco. I know he went down in the game, but man, a good team can trump, just having just a great quarterback, because Dak Prescott's a great quarterback. He really is. I do love Dak Prescott as a quarterback, but it's a terrible situation.
Did you look at Dak's numbers yesterday in comparison to Hurts's numbers? They were nearly exactly the same. Yeah. Exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight we got Arizona against the Rams. Rams are a 3.5-point favorite in LA. Jason, how do you see that game working out tonight?
I've been kind of saying that the Rams are going to win. I think a lot of people continue to be critical of Matt Stafford, and they like to talk about his interceptions and his lack of ability to come up big in big games. But I think the Rams have a lot to prove, and I think this is the year that they get to the next level. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. I have Green Bay actually going to the Super Bowl, but I think they win against Arizona and fairly easy too. I don't think I'm at the point with Arizona that I think a lot of people were overzealous about Kyler Murray. And I'm not saying, and that's not to say that Kyler Murray can't be a stud in the league, because I think he has the talent there. But I don't think Kyler Murray has shown yet that he's absolutely in that, elite tier of quarterbacks either. And I agree, because you said it earlier, Phil, that he gets all this, publicity about him being this great quarterback, but yet I haven't saw it come to fruition yet. Now, obviously, you gave him D-Hop, and that's when his numbers went up. So talk about another, we brought it up with her, with Josh Allen getting Stephon Diggs. Same kind of thing happened with Kyler. You gave him D-Hop, and he had his best season. Now D-Hop's not there, and now look at Kyler.
Yep.
It's kind of goes hand in hand. And I'm not saying that means that Kyler's not a good quarterback, because let's face it, I think good quarterbacks need weapons as well to succeed.
So Mark, I'm gonna throw it to you on this though, because I think this game has two very important things. It could go either way, in my opinion. Is it more important for Matthew Stafford to finally win his first playoff game here in LA with all these weapons that we talk about? Or is it more important for the Cardinals to win? Because I think if the Cardinals lose, Cliff Kingsbury gets fired. So who's got more pressure on them tonight? Cliff Kingsbury or Matthew Stafford?
Obviously, the way you spell it out, both have obviously pressure. But I think there's more pressure on the Rams and Stafford and McVay, because they have assembled an all-star team on offense and defense, and they are the home team. And they're division winner, and they need to win. The spread is like 3.5. I think they will cover the spread and win that game. And it'll probably not be really close, maybe like a 28-10 score. As for Cliff Kingsbury and the Cardinals, he probably could get fired. Maybe they give him one more year. And for Kyler Murray, he is maybe a slightly above average quarterback who is only looked at as a great quarterback is because he's 5'9". He's a small guy, and that is the only reason why that he gets the focus and attention that is given to him. I mean, if he was 6 foot tall, he would be an average quarterback, and I don't see him doing much to really help that squad. And I don't think they have enough horses in the game to get over the Rams tonight. So take the Rams minus 3.5.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with you guys. I think it'll be a little closer than Jason said. I don't think it's going to be a 2-3 touchdown win. But I do think the Rams win. I guess the home team.
I didn't say that. I just said fairly easy win.
Didn't somebody say 28-10?
I just said 28-10.
Oh, sorry. I thought Jason said 28-10. Sorry. Yeah, my mind's shot already today, and the day's just getting started.
You're good.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's going to be like 28-21, something in that range. But, yeah, I agree with you guys, the Rams. And I agree that Matthew Stafford has more pressure on him than anybody else. And even Sean McVay, as Casey is saying here. Sean McVay's got a lot of pressure on him, too. So I think we're going to wrap the show up there for today. It's been another fantastic show, Trending in the AM. We went an extra 10 minutes today just to get all the content out. We probably should have started at 7:30 because we didn't even get to talk about the Sixers today and their great weekend beating the Celtics and the Miami Heat. Great back-to-back wins. I'll talk basketball tomorrow. Yeah, I'll make sure basketball talk happens tomorrow on Trending in the AM. We're live every single Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. right here on DSM Media. Brought to you as always by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products. Check them out, manscaped.com, and use promo code Trending. I'm sorry, yes, never is a failed golf experiment. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a fantastic point to close the show out with for my man Jason Vorhees, for Marc Moscatelli. I am Phil Stiefel right here. Make sure you're following us all on Twitter and on all social media platforms, and hit that subscribe button. Damn it! Subscribe to the YouTube page. Everybody have a great Monday. Be safe if you got to go out and drive. Some of the roads are still a little slick out there, everybody. So be safe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. And go Birds!
Go Birds.
Yep.
Off season